Your Falcons pulled one out. That was good.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice win. Surprising win in some respects, but at the same time, too, the adjustments from week 1 to week 2, they ran the ball significantly better than they did against Tampa. I think we're starting to see that Tampa might be probably one of those teams we're going to have to think of in the circle with 3 or 4 others, right, as a potential team to contend probably for the Super Bowl. I think they're pretty good, and they showed it again last night. You got to respect the team that wins in the final seconds of their second game after, winning by a missed field goal and a late score in their first game. So they're finding a way early. Mayfield is a better player than he was in Cleveland and certainly than he was in Carolina. It's interesting how the fit sometimes takes shape. You and I saw it when we were kids with Jim Plunkett in Oakland or Vegas, I guess, or L.A. or wherever it was they were playing at the time. So I'm kind of interested to see what Sunday is for Atlanta, just based on what last Monday night was for sure, or Sunday night was for sure.
I believe Plunkett won Super Bowls with both the Oakland and Los Angeles Raiders.
I think you're right.
Right?
I think, they beat the East.
Right.
Oakland, when they beat the Washington team, they were in L.A., right?
Yes, and they just had to hand the ball to Marcus Allen, and that would work just about every time. Wes Durham, real quick, because it is Panthers-Falcons week. If Atlanta doesn't run the ball for 250 yards on Carolina, it's just by choice, no?
Yeah, you can look at it that way. I mean, and we play these games out on paper before we ever play them in person, right? You can look at it that way, but I also know that Carolina, especially when Derek Brown's been healthy, has been a handful for Atlanta. Just every time, Adam. I mean, it's nonstop. And Derek Brown's from Atlanta, and it's all the things that, and now Atlanta's counted because they got 2 really good defensive stars who are from the Charlotte area, and James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker. So, I mean, but Atlanta has. I mean, there have been times in the series, and I've been blessed to do this. Is 22 years doing the Falcons for me, and I actually went to the Panthers' very first game in Atlanta in 1995. At the Georgia Dome against the Falcons. But there have been times in the series where Atlanta has been able to run the ball on Carolina in different variations of Falcon and Panther games. But here recently, it's been difficult. And last year, in the final game of the regular season, Carolina arguably played one of its best offensive games of the year.
Yep.
So the thing that I'm cautioned of is they've lost to 2 teams on the road. They finally come home. The thing that I would be a little bit of a red flag with, if I'm Dave Canales and that front office with Dan Morgan, is the injuries in the offensive line. The thing with me about looking at Carolina on tape and on paper is that I think Bryce Young can find rhythm quicker than most, but can he do it after the injuries in the offensive line would be my overriding thought on him. Defensively, though, I think Atlanta will have their hands full. I think Carolina is a different defense this year, even with Brown's return from injury, but I still think they're going to be a handful for the Falcons on Sunday because we're in Charlotte. It's the home opener, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, well, the Panthers need to feel good because it's been pretty dreadful through 2 weeks. I don't know how that compares to how things are going down at Clemson, South Carolina.
Oh, boy.
Because they were the shiniest object going into the season, I want to start there, but I also want to start with respect for the team that sent them to 1-2, because I'm just not sure that Georgia Tech, and the schedule really lines up well if that matters. I'm not sure Georgia Tech isn't really good, and I know Clemson is 1-2. I actually thought we saw better signs in the second half on Saturday than we did in the second half of the Troy game, which Clemson won. So, what are your thoughts on that whole dynamic?
I think that, let's take Clemson first. I think Clemson has to take care of Clemson here. As much as it has to be about who they're playing, Syracuse on Saturday in this particular case, right? I think it has to be about Clemson. I think Clemson has to decide what Clemson's going to be. And they've got to get together, because the thing that I see is, I mean, they got 2 of the best defensive players in the country on the defensive line.
Right.
Just flat out. 2 of the best. I mean, 2 guys that are going to be drafted before we get to 15 picks next April. And yet, Georgia Tech owned them offensively the other day. Now, they got big plays in the vertical game. And look, the quarterback has not played great, but this ain't all about the quarterback, okay? They have no explosiveness in the run game.
Right.
Period. End of sentence. They've had one big run by Adam Randall against Troy, and they had a vertical play the other day with Wesco in the throw game. But for some reason or another, whatever Garrett Riley's trying to do, and don't ask me why this hasn't worked, because I thought it was a hand in glove fit. Clemson has not had explosiveness on a regular schedule offensively now for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And that's just as simple as I can put it. And I'm not, and this is, is it a combination of things? Probably. It's not any one thing that's altering Clemson. Look, do I think that Wes Goodwin probably was in the deep end of the pool when he became the defensive coordinator and they took on a lot of water defensively and they had to make some changes? Yes. Do I think that Tom Allen's a good hire? Yes. I mean, look, Georgia Tech can explode on anybody. Mm-hmm. Okay, offensively because of Buster and the way they do their system. But for me, Clemson didn't lose that game because of defense the other day. Clemson lost that game because part and parcel, they're not explosive enough offensively.
I know
That's just as simple as it gets, I think.
Yeah, Wes Durham is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show, and I know it's not all about the quarterback, but the quarterback isn't able to take advantage of the things, and a lot of it's the offensive line, and they don't have a great running game. But I go back, and I was never – after his freshman year, I thought Trevor Lawrence just kind of plateaued, right? But in year 3, they created a running game using him. And it even though they didn't have a dynamic playmaker on the outside anymore, they were still able to get to the end of the season with a chance to win it all. Of course, they didn't do that. I don't believe that this Clemson team is either good enough on the offensive line or at running back or at quarterback to take advantage of great wide receivers. And you throw in the fact that Georgia Tech was so good offensively matching up against Clemson's defense. Clemson's schedule is not easy the rest of the way. They're out of it unless they run the table, and I just don't see them doing that.
Well, because of who they have to play.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if you were doing, if you're putting together, Clemson's fallen out of the top 25, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at the top 25, there are 3 schools right there that are ahead of them, including Georgia Tech at 16. Florida State and Miami are ahead of Georgia Tech. So you got 3 schools in the top 25. And those 3 schools are all capable of being in Charlotte. Georgia Tech, as you mentioned earlier, has a friendlier path perhaps than Miami and Florida State, who play each other. Mm-hmm. I think that's early October, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, so for me, I look at what these games potentially could be on the hoof here. And the ACC, now the responsibility is who else is going to be with these 3. And, we had, I'll give you an example. I wouldn't rule out Cal at this point.
Yeah, Cal's schedule is very easy, and they're 3-0. Right.
and people, here's the thing. I know it's not comfortable. I know for sure it's not traditional. But you better learn to say Jaren Kiave Sangapuatele.
That's beautiful.
Because he is really good. And Justin Wilcox is a terrific football coach. Mm-hmm. I mean, Tom Luganbill, I know you have Lugs on in the past.
Yeah.
Tom Luganbill last year thought that Cal's stresses and struggles offensively and defensively last year were a result of just a downturn of some of the things that occurred on the back end of the destruction of the Pac-12. And I don't disagree, because this guy lost 7 running backs in the spring.
Yeah.
Not 2. He lost 7. And they have found a way to run the ball, and they sling it with this left-hander who, he looks like, when you meet him, he looks like his mom dropped him off. and to be honest with you, he's a gamer. Here's the other thing, too. That's not the only story developing. I'm going to see one Saturday night that's developing. I think Virginia, even though they lost at NC State, Virginia is interesting. Their offensive numbers are like 2.5 times Tony Elliott's best team in his previous 3-4 years. I mean, their offensive numbers are unbelievable. Now, they played NC State, they played Coastal Carolina, and they had a 9-man advantage against William and Mary on Saturday, okay?
Right.
But Adam, think about the storylines that are developing here. We got stories that are coming online here. And it wasn't a great weekend for the league as a whole, but I'm still looking at a couple different teams thinking to myself, okay, who's going to get in the boat here? Who's going to be the flyer from that? Remember, we talked about this, I think, in Charlotte in July. Who's going to be the flyer from what we thought the second division of the ACC would be into the race? And look, there's still teams who've had some struggles here that can rebound and build back. That's why Saturday afternoon at Wallace Wade Stadium is so big.
Yes, it is. I was going to ask you about that because the Wolfpack, who are 3-0, I'm not entirely sure how good any of their wins are. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because they were, the second half of the last two, Virginia and then Wake Forest, were elite defensively. And their offense looks like it is uncontainable. Bailey is playing at a high level. They got tons of weapons. Haven't even really unlocked Justin Jolie yet. I like Duke a lot. I'm stunned that Duke is a field goal and a half favorite at home. But, man, the Wolfpack look like they can win a bunch of Big 12-style games. Yeah,
and that's, to Dave's credit, DJ Elliott has come in and done a very nice job, right? Now, they gave away, 4 explosives against Virginia, maybe 2 against East Carolina, and the kick return and another long pass play the other night.
Yeah.
Okay? Outside of that, they've been able to kind of keep them in front and, oh, by the way, create some turnovers along the way. Here's the other thing. Bailey's not only playing at a high level, Smothers is in a two-way game with everybody.
Yep.
He's a runner and he's a catcher. And to me, I agree with you about Jolie because I think Jolie's getting ready to take off. He is a matchup nightmare for anybody who jumps into a 3-man front. Because if you're a defensive coordinator, you have to decide if you're in a 3-man front, and most teams are playing 3-man fronts right now. They're either playing, you're getting teams that are playing 3-4-4, or 3-2-5, whatever the case may be, right? 3-3-6, whatever it is, 3-3-5, I guess. And you get those 3-man fronts, well, then you have to declare whether you're going to make safety, corner, linebacker on Jolie. Well, he's going to beat a linebacker, and he's bigger than the safety. So for me, I'm really interested to see kind of how the football analytics work on Jolie here in the next couple of weeks, especially against Duke, who's got a good safety and good linebackers. So we'll see where this goes. But does that open the gate for Smothers to be more of a factor in the run game? Second part of it is Bailey's really good. I mean, really, really, really good. And he is – and there are a lot of people – Kurt Roper deserves a ton of credit for that. Dave's did just a beautiful job of getting that kid to a platform and put him in the good hands of a guy who can make him a much better football player as he goes forward. I absolutely love watching Bailey play. His decision-making, to me, light years better than it was a year ago. Of course, as a true freshman, I expect that, but it's good to see how solid he has become in that regard. Man, they are really, really good, and it just seems like they have a different receiver every game. We went from Teddy Hoffman in week 1. Now we had, number 8, whatever number 8 is, who had the best 3-catch game I've ever seen. They screwed him of a catch down the left. That's the kid from Grimsley. Yeah,
they screwed him of a catch down the left side. He was in bounds. I don't even understand what they were doing. Give the kid the catch. Miami, I didn't think we would be here in week 4, but Mario Cristobal, all eyes pointing on you. All eyes looking at you.
Yes, they are.
They're good.
Yes, they are. They are good. And here's the thing. They've got the best combination of offensive and defensive line in the league.
Yeah.
It's over. I mean, there's nobody else as good as they are. I think they have – the early returns on Carson Beck have been very positive in a lot of ways. I think leadership is just one of the many things that he's brought to the table there. And his maturity level coming from Athens to Coral Gables. Now, people – see, and here's the other thing, too. We twist a kid into being who we see on social media sometimes and all the things going on and NIL and all that. I found him to be very reflective and much more mature than what I was told I was going to visit with in July.
Right.
And that shows me that kid has grown. And he also knows this is his last chance too, Adam.
Yep.
And I think there's some, there is some finality to that for these kids. So I'm encouraged by Miami, and I think that the Miami-Florida State game will be a hell of a show. And I think, again, that's another school that deserves a lot of credit. They're off to a good start. They've won the one game they had to win. They beat East Texas sideways in a saddle. They're going to play Kent State this week, who you and I could go get 9 out of the parking lot and probably beat. And I just think that's part of the process of Mike Norvell getting to a space where now all of a sudden the road gets real. And when Florida State is behind in the fourth quarter and needs a score, can Castellanos do it then?
Yeah, he's fun.
Can he be that guy? Can he be that guy? We're gonna find that out, and that will ultimately, I think, determine kind of how Florida State goes the rest of the way.
Real quick, I want to just correct something I said before. It's not next week, or I said in 2 weeks. It's the first Saturday in October, which
October 4th, right?
Is the traditional spot for this game. When I was first getting into the business, the first Saturday in October every year, Miami and Florida State, for me, was the game of the season every single year.
We're here in Tallahassee.
Exact.
Right?
Oh man, you want to do Keith Jackson? I will never forget. Tamarick Vanover taking the opening kickoff back for a touchdown for Florida State. They might have lost that game, but, man, every year that was the best game. More pros on the field in that game than there were in any other game all season long. Man, it'd be great to get back to that for the league. And you throw Georgia Tech in. What do you make of Louisville through a few weeks of the season? I know a lot was expected, but I haven't heard a thing about them nationally since, which is fine. But what do you make of them?
I think Miller Moss has not been as sturdy, not steady, as sturdy as I wanted him to be. But it doesn't mean that they haven't, I think, checked the boxes they need to. I think the schedule starts for them like soon. I mean, they are going to have – I feel like Louisville and SMU, and even though Louisville hasn't lost a game, I feel like Louisville and SMU still have to show us some things. And in Louisville's case, it's got to be more than Isaac Brown, okay? It's got to be – you got to kind of show me some things defensively. And for SMU, you're going to have to show me some things defensively. You've got names I'm familiar with, but right now you're not playmaking on that side of the ball in any way, shape, or form like you did a year ago. And Scott Simons is an excellent coach, and he has done a great job to complement Rhett Lashley's offensive prowess, But let's be honest, they were up 2 scores with 8 and change to go against Baylor. Last year, that team dust off Baylor and wins.
Correct.
Saturday, for me, is a very big game for us.
Oh, my gosh. At TCU. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Wes Durham, voice of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the reason the conference turns a profit. I was just looking at Louisville's schedule. It ain't easy. Pitt hasn't been great, but you're there. You're at Miami. You mentioned Virginia certainly can score. They got to deal with Clemson. They're at SMU. They've got Cal. That is a very difficult schedule for Louisville. But the league needs to get some wins.
Well, the loss Pitt took Saturday at Morgantown, we're going to see where Pitt is, because if you look at Pitt's schedule, Pat Narduzzi does not want this season to get away from them. So it's going to be incumbent upon Pitt to get this thing corrected quickly. And the other school that falls in that category, I think, is SMU.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, keep an eye on California, man. California, if they go to Boston College next week, if they win at San Diego State on Saturday, they go to Boston College at 4-0 and have a chance to fly across the country and win a game. And I think they go to Virginia Tech. Is that right later, Adam? I'm not looking at it.
Virginia Tech. That's a bye week.
Wow. No, it's not. Come on.
It's a bye week.
They're going to beat somebody. They're going to beat somebody, Adam.
Phil
Montgomery's too good an offensive coach. They're going to beat somebody.
I'll take your word for it.
All right.
They give up 34. Vanderbilt's obviously good. Give up 34 unanswered at home to Vanderbilt, and then got curb stomped by Old Dominion.
No, I was there for the Vanderbilt game.
Your old squad.
Yeah, the Commodores now. I want to tell you something. They get another court injunction, Diego Pavia will play there next year.
Well, it's working out so well, already for Clark Lee. Wes Durham, voice of the ACC. I appreciate your time, my friend. I will talk to you soon.
Buddy.
You got it.
Yep, look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Wes Durham here on the Adam Gold Show.